Any questions? Please. If none raises the hand, then Rashid the answer would occupy the floor. Right?
I've got something, but the information is already available for that question. So should I ask?
What do you mean? I don't understand the point.
The point is that
You go to the microphone and clarify yourself.
although information is available in English translation by the late Maulvi Sher Ali Sahib, would Hazur kindly let us know briefly the different stages of the Holy Quran from the very first revelation to the present complete written and preserved form of the Holy Quran?
I think they make use of the available information. The answer is make use of the available information, please.
Should I say something relevant?
Okay, yes, why not?
The information I got, Hazur?
You know, the source of information that you have pointed out, I am suggesting that you make use of that source of information.
Oh, the information which I get in the
Exactly. That's fine. Now say something relevant or irrelevant, whatever you please.
Hazur, the information contained in that translation, as far I understand, is that when the first revelation came, and after that, Hazur sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to invite people and he used to memorize revelation, and at the appropriate time he used to call some people to record it. And should I tell briefly or should I continue?
No, there is no other comparative reply.
And then Hazur appointed about 15 people to just record, and out of those Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu and Hazrat Umar and Hazrat Ali, they were included in those list of the people. And after that, when the time of Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu came, there was a fight. And in that fight, many people who used to memorize the Holy Quran, used to recite through their memory, were reduced in that fight. And Hazrat Umar radiyallahu anhu suggested to Hazrat Abu Bakr, who was the Khalifa of that time, to put something in the book, something to record. And
this information I can't believe is provided to you by the commentary of the Maulvi side, because this is not correct.
Provided by Maulvi.
Where did you get this information?
I got the Holy Book here. I can read.
It's not correct. There were 4 regular scribes.
Yes, 4, yes.
And you are talking of memorization, while everything was already committed to writing in black and white at the time of Hazur sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Every word of the Holy Quran was committed to writing, and over and above that, quite a few companions of Hazur sallallahu alaihi wasallam had memorized the Holy Quran entirely. And so many, the number which is not countable, had memorized the Holy Quran in major parts. So this is the situation. You are giving a different term altogether by saying that it was not committed to writing, and when at the time of the war or jihad.
What I read in the books,
But you reconciled it. It's not possible. I assure you again. Every word of the Holy Quran was committed to writing, and every Ahmadi scholar knows it. Every Ahmadi scholar who has any relationship with the subject knows this. And to consider Hazrat Maulvi Sherri Sahib not to be completely unaware of this fact, this is unbelievable.
No, I will again read the passage.
Please.
And come back to Hazur some other time. Then should I continue this? Then what is I may be forgetting certain things, but what I read in that, I got here in the mosque that book.
Well, that doesn't make any difference whether it's in the mosque or outside.
No,
but this information
yes.
that the Holy Quran was committed to writing after the demise of the Muhammad, is totally wrong, totally incorrect, completely baseless. This is my otherwise statement.
No,
if you want some more elaboration, then I will do that.
No, Hazur, what I gathered from that, it was written in the Hazur's time. It was written in Hazur's time, but was not compiled in a shape of a book. Yes. It was written in some fragments, I would call it.
Of course, it was written. The moment it was revealed, it was written.
Yes, in fragments.
Of course, it was written in fragments, naturally, because the whole Quran was not revealed at one moment. So, as it was revealed, it was committed to writing.
In fragments. It was not in
what do you mean by fragments?
One book. It was not shaped in one book.
Would not have been. Because revelation came in pieces. So as it came, it was recorded. That is exactly the.
No, the recording was done. So that is.
But this is not what you said.
No, that was my wording.
I'm glad that you rectified, because it was not your mistake. You are.
No,
a mistake to one of the noblest scholars in Ahmediyya.
No, I was mistaken.
Of course you were.
I read it just in hurry, because I wanted to prepare the question. I had to prepare the question.
I told you are in no hurry to relate, so please take your time and relate correctly.
No, what happened? This question was written before and was edited.
I see. Who edited? Unfortunately, we are missing Sayyid Fazl Shah Sahab. He was a good editor.
I don't reveal his name.
Okay, we'll depend on
But as this is not bad, I can tell that the present Imam Sahab edited this one.
Is that so? Where is Imam Sahab? It's good for him, he's not here tonight.
He edited, and but not the whole of it. Then yesterday I had
the wrong part particularly.
Partly. But last night I'm taking too much time.
No.
Last night I had the opportunity to go through this question again at my place, because I was not able to come here due to transport or some other problem. So I had a time to see whether this question of mine will be genuine for this meeting. Then I said, let me have a look on the translation which was available. So I took from the shelf that translation which was available, and I read. Although I didn't to justify the full time, I was a bit feeling sleepy and all this, but I read it. So I read it. So some of the passages I may not have read it thoroughly. That's why I said it was not completed. So it was my mistake, not Maulana. So then I recollect myself. There was written that it was written in fragments on recording, but those fragments were put together at the time of Hazrat Abu Bakr. Because at the time of Holy Prophet ﷺ, there were thousands of people who could recite the whole book with memory. And when in the fighting, the people were being reduced, Hazrat Umar suggested to Hazrat Abu Bakr that it should be, fragments should be put together. And I think the 4 people were put a committee. In one of that, the one person amongst those 15 people was also present, something like that. And then in the time of Hazrat Usman Raziyallahu Anhu, 7 copies of the book which was compiled were sent to different places in order that they may be published in plenty.
Different parts of the kingdom.
Islamic kingdom. So that it can be published.
The Holy Quran, which is now accepted all over the world, is that version which you are mentioning as being sent out in 7 copies of it being sent out to various parts of the kingdom. That is called Mus'haf Usman. The fact is that the difference between this and some other versions was not a difference of subject. Everybody agreed, but there are various qira'ats, various tribes of the Arab read Arabic differently from one another. Like here, there is a southern dialect and the northern dialect and the east dialect and the west dialect and so on. There are 100 or some dialects in England, a small country. So there were differences of dialects and difference of pronunciation and inflections. So the question was raised in the time of Hazrat Usman Raziyallahu Anhu to adopt one dialect, otherwise the future people may differ and may conceive it to be a difference in the Holy Quran. So after consultation with so many scholars and the scribes themselves, Hazrat Usman decided that the dialect of the Meccans in which the Holy Quran was revealed should be adopted, and it is the same dialect which is now preserved. Now that is very clear. Now what is the question?
This was one of the things which
I understood. The moment you started, raising and coming to this part, I understood there was something bothering you. But this is it.
No, not bothering.
There is no difference. Clarified it. Yes.
I don't want to say you, but I want to.
Please.
Sorry. What I wanted from Hazur was that it should be recorded also on this occasion that when we compare some other books of Revelations and all this and the Holy Quran itself, it should be recorded that first that the Holy Quran was compiled in full in the Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam time. Secondly, Hazrat Abu Bakr's time it was
compiled. This word has to be explained. A compilation was made at the time of Hazrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which remained verbal, despite the fact that the book was committed to writing, as you call it, in fragments, but as I understand, in parchments. Instead of fragments, parchment is a better word for this. In various parchments, it was recorded in black and white, and they were rolled up and preserved. Now, Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to tell the scribes as well as some other companions who had memorized the Holy Quran where to place which surah and where to place which verse. Sometimes a verse was revealed before a surah was revealed, and later on Jibreel came, Jibreel is called, peace be upon him, who told Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to pick that verse from there and put it in that position, in that surah, in that position. So Huzur Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam would receive the message and pass it on to the scribes and the companions. Also, the organization of the surah and their relative positions were told very clearly by Jibreel where they should be put in the order of, not in the order of revelation, but in the order of arrangement. So all this compilation was made at the time of Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but it remained verbal. What Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu did was that having called various witnesses to when an issue was to be decided, because some of the issues were not debatable at all. It was a common knowledge that according to Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that surah should precede that surah, and so on and so forth. Yet there were certain minor issues which arose from time to time about the relative position of verses and some surahs as well. So those issues were decided by calling various witnesses and those of high repute to tell Hazrat Abu Bakr which was the verdict of Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. So this is how the compilation was transferred into script. Otherwise, compilation was made at the time of Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is the difference. Now the question, if there is any about it, you wanted some elucidation on this?
No, I wanted to finish what was my question, and then
I know, but when you reached Usman, I thought you had finished with it. You're finishing it backwards now.
No, I go forward and then I finish.
Achha, you go to please.
The proof of this, that the Holy Quran was publicized extensively, was that when Hazrat Muawiyah and Hazrat Ali's fighting came and they raised up the Quran.
Goes up with the Holy Quran on top. Every lance had a Holy Quran to declare that we bear witness this book, we swear by this book, that this should be done, or this book should be held supreme, and because of this you should come to an agreement. That was a symbol for that.
What the last word was that this book, which is in our possession now, was in the Khilafat Rashida style and exhibited in the Quran.
Correct, that's right. But again, this version is highly debatable. I mean, people who are told of this fact that the Holy Quran was raised on lances do not know what they are being told. The fact is that the Holy Quran, as we see today, is a completely different book in size and presentation than it was at the time of Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So to conceive the whole book to be raised on the point of a lance is to me not at all conceivable, acceptable point. It's impossible, because some camel loads were required to carry the whole parchments of the Holy Quran as it was written in those days. It was not like your paper of today. Now it was compiled in the book form. It was rolled. How those rolls were raised and all the rows of the Holy Quran, that is to me not conceivable at all. What I understand from that is that it was not the whole book, but some parchments were rolled to indicate the Holy Quran. That was all. That's understandable. But otherwise I can't conceive of such a situation.
No, what I wanted to convey was not that the complete book was shown. What I wanted to convey was, I want to correct my statement, was that the Holy Quran was available at that time, extensive. What I wanted to say.
Not the whole book in like we have today, but it was written again in parchments, and those who knew they kept scribing it and distributing it, and it was spreading very fast. In fact, this is one of the reasons why it was forbidden, or it was not a practice at least, to commit the tradition to writing. Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not want the tradition to be confused with the Holy Quran. And this was also a very strict practice of Sahaba Karam radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, that nothing should be written except the Holy Quran. Otherwise the words of Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam might be mistaken as the words of God. So this is one of the reasons why traditions were not committed in the early part. Only some Sahaba privately had short notes of some traditions, but they made it very clear, like Hazrat Ali Karamallahu Wajhahu is known to have got certain recordings of tradition, but he made it very clear that this is not a part of the Holy Book, it is a part of what Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said. But anyway, thank you for this very illuminating discourse. Many people among us didn't know all the details, and it was good that you refreshed the memories and also imparted the knowledge to some.
Assalamu alaikum.